George Santos, the embattled Republican congressman from Long Island in his first term. And tomorrow there's a real good chance he's going to get expelled. There was a resolution debated on the House floor today if a vote should take place tomorrow, and that vote will take place tomorrow. But I think the case against him is actually pretty rotten. Look, I'm skeptical for a couple of reasons. These accusations are coming from two groups of people I don't generally trust: career politicians and the mainstream media. I have to say this: the allegations, the serious allegations against him, have not been proven. They haven't. And when I first became aware of George Santos, I guess it was earlier this year, I was going around the dial and I saw a scene like this. He's surrounded by 1,000 reporters. Like, who is this guy? He must be very, very important. What? He was elected in November? He's been on the job for a month. Okay. This seems a little bit disproportionate, right? The media's interest when you have a guy like Joe Biden in the White House. So leave it to the Republicans. They go after him. And today, Republicans were leading the charge, debating that resolution. That's Michael Guest on the right, a Republican of Mississippi, trying to make the case that George Santos is a liar and a cheat and should be thrown out. Went a little bit like this.
Mr. Speaker, George Santos has built his persona, his personal and political life, on a foundation of lies. Many of those lies are well documented. We know that Mr. Santos lied about his education, both graduate and postgraduate, claiming that he attended universities where he was never enrolled, claiming that he obtained degrees that he did not earn. We know that Mr. Santos lied about his employment when he claimed that he worked for two prestigious financial institutions, Citigroup and Goldman Sachs.
Lying about degrees, lying about education, lying about jobs. I mean, come on, right? Kind of sounds like somebody we all know.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly, I think
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom two-thirds of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
He had to drop out of the race, of course, right? And they're picking on George Santos. Something is wrong. Very, very wrong. I haven't figured it out yet. I mean, look, it's the deep state, and they've got their minions. But anyway, the case against him continued today.
George Santos is not the person he offered to voters. He didn't work where he said he did. He didn't go to school where he said he did. He's far from rich. He isn't Jewish. And his mother was not in the South Tower during 9/11.
All right, there's a lot of deja vu here, right? These just don't seem to amount to all that much, except for the last one, saying that your mom was in the South Tower on 9/11 when she wasn't. But I tried to find George Santos actually saying that, and there's no record of it. Now, there is a line on his website. And for what I know about politics, the candidate himself, there's a good chance that the candidate did not write this blurb about himself on the website. I mean, it's a possibility. I heard also other politicians say things that really turned me off. Not written on the website, that they actually said out loud. Who knows Denang Dick? That's what President Trump calls him, Senator Richard Blumenthal, the Democrat from Connecticut. This is a case of stolen valor. Listen.
We have learned something very important since the days that I served in Vietnam, and you exemplify it. Whatever we think about the war, whatever we call it, Afghanistan or Iraq, we owe our military men and women unconditional support.
Does anybody call for his expulsion? That first part, he served in the Marine Reserves back when it was a method to not go to Vietnam. That was the whole point. One more time, the first part, just the first part.
We have learned something very important since the days that I served in Vietnam.
So he was called out, but ever so gently, because he has Democrat immunity. You know, you're a Democrat, and they're not going to give you too hard a time. The New York Times, who's driving the charge, leading the charge against our friend George Santos, Richard Blumenthal's words on Vietnam service differ from history, i.e. stolen valor, the worst kind of lying. Anyway, what else did they say about George Santos?
We know that Mr. Santos lied about his religious faith when he said he was Jewish, and then later when called out said he meant to say he was Jew-ish.
All right, I've seen this a million times. Politicians claiming some allegiance to a faith or an ethnicity as a way to connect with voters. Wesley Clark, former general, the go-to military analyst over at CNN. Listen to this. Back when he was running for president in 2004, I remember.
How are you on supporting Israel? Please tell me you really support Israel.
I do really support Israel. You know, my father was Jewish.
Well, happy
And I've
Hanukkah to you.
Thank you.
Strange thing to whisper. It was noted at the time. Why would he whisper that? Maybe because it wasn't true. And he got nailed. He got nailed. This is politicians. This happens. I've even seen Barack Obama do it. We know what Barack Obama is. He tells us every time, right? He's black. Sometimes.
Until recently, I could not unequivocally claim that I was one of those Irish Americans. But now, if you believe the Corrigan brothers, there's no one more Irish than me.
It's so cute when he says it. This is the kind of stuff politicians do, all right? They exaggerate to connect. It just happens. But they're going to expel this guy over this kind of stuff. I'm so glad that two of my favorite congressmen were there advocating for fairness and advocating that the Congressman Santos not be expelled. Clay Higgins, Republican of Louisiana, and of course, Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida. Two reasons why I like these guys. They're not afraid to go against the grain, and they let the establishment have it. Right, Matt?
Don't you see that that's kind of the thing, Director Wray, that you preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the FBI's history? People trusted the FBI more when J. Edgar Hoover was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is up over 100%.
We're deeply proud of them, and they deserve better than you.
You know, he performs at such a high level, and he's been under a cloud of, well, people have accused him falsely in the past, yet he still performs. I admire that a lot. And now, Clay Higgins, who is on the case about January 6th, asking questions that few people want to or dare to.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Wray,
confidential human
gentleman's
sources.
time has expired.
Oh, he was so mad because he got nailed. He got caught. We don't know 1% of what really happened on January 6th. All right. So those kinds of guys, Gaetz and Higgins, are on the side of Santos in this matter. They're saying it's not fair. This should not be happening. Congressman Gaetz.
Since the beginning of this Congress, there's only two ways you get expelled. You get convicted of a crime, or you participated in the Civil War. Neither apply to George Santos. Mr. Santos hasn't been convicted of anything, But we haven't even moved to expel the people who have. The fact pattern as to Mr. Santos is remarkably similar to the fact pattern of former Representative Duncan Hunter. Duncan Hunter used campaign money on girlfriends and trips and home improvements and all sorts of personal lavishes. He was indicted for those crimes and continued to serve in Congress. Whatever Mr. Santos did with Botox or OnlyFans is far less concerning to me than the indictment against Senator Menendez, who's holding gold bars inscribed with Arabic on them from Egypt while he is still getting classified briefings today.
Is that great or what? And he's so right. He's 1,000% right. Senator Menendez, for the second time, federal indictment. He's in big trouble. Nobody's clamoring for his expulsion. Some people I hear are urging him to step down, but they're not holding a vote to get rid of the guy. And Duncan Hunter, that is a blast from the past. That guy served in Congress even after he was convicted. What is really happening here? I mentioned Clay Higgins. He was great today, too.
Colleagues, you can believe what you like, but the 56-page investigative subcommittee report is most certainly not written within the parameters normally found in an unbiased, impartial investigative report. It's filled with conjecture, opinion, and pejorative language that no professional investigative report should include, no experienced cop would present to a DA, and no impartial DA would ever present to a court as unbiased.
He has law enforcement experience. I think he's got the most insight into all of this. It's fascinating. You know, usually the prosecutors are the ones who stick to the facts, and it's the defense that they have to go to emotion. It was the other way around today. The prosecutors, the accusers of Santos, they were the ones who were losing their cool.
I myself have been a victim of George Santos and as well as other members of Congress in terms of defrauding through public donations. I had received an ethics complaint from the FEC, which I had to spend tens of thousands to defend myself. You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
You're not allowed to say that stuff on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, and those comments may ultimately be stricken from the record. We will see. All right, back to the important stuff. Oh, yeah, the Botox.
We know that he purchased luxury designer purchases at least 2 high-end stores. Then he spent money on payments made at OnlyFans. And that Mr. Santos spent almost $3,000 on Botox treatments.
This is what got all the headlines. Ooh, Botox, Botox. Have you ever seen Joe Biden? That man has had a lot of Botox and a lot of hair transplants and a lot of who knows what. And I don't know. I don't know if he paid with that with his own money, right? The poorest man in Congress. Did he find a way? Did a career politician find a way to get some cosmetic work on the campaign's tab? I'd like to know. John Kerry, he has had a lot of work. I don't know what's going on there. Fillers, boosters, whatever's going on. Oh, then again, yes, he married a very rich woman. He probably did pay for that vanity project himself. But it doesn't matter. He lies. He lies, that George Santos, right?
He has lied to donors and to colleagues, taking advantage of election law, using campaign funds to personally benefit himself.
He fabricated his qualifications, his background, lied to the FEC, and unemployment fraud.
You know, one thing I've seen from George Santos, he's admitted where he's actually lied. He wants to make an improvement. Listen to Joe Biden when he got caught lying about civil rights marches that he did not participate in.
During the 60s, I was, in fact, very concerned about the civil rights movement. I was not an activist. I worked at an all-black swimming pool in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. I was involved. I was involved in what they were thinking, what they were feeling. I was involved, but I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else.
Okay, so you would think he wouldn't say that again, right? He still says that stuff, even now.